Hi, Black Marriage Matters community. It's Kenyatta in for your weekly Facebook Live. I hope that you guys are having an amazing week. And I wanted to check in today to kind of talk about fighting in marriage. A lot of times when couples are coming to us for couples counseling, they have gotten to a place where they are just having a very hard time communicating with their mate. And so today I wanted to kind of drop some gems for couples that are tired of being in that cycle of fussing and fighting for their with their mate, and in that place where they're feeling like we cannot have a conversation around this without it ending in a fight. So today I want to provide you guys with 2 tips to change the way that you fight with your mate, and this is going to be part 1 of a part 2 series, right? So today we're just going to kind of go over 2 different things that I want you to keep in mind as you are navigating conflict with your spouse, with your partner that you're dating, someone that you're engaged to. Every couple has an experience of being in conflict. And so for some couples, their conflict is literally the predictor that will lead them to end their relationship. So a lot of times when I'm watching and witnessing a couple fight, their fights really tell me a lot about how safe, how protected, and how secure their relationship actually is. So your fighting can be a great indicator of whether or not you and your mate are going to have a long-lasting relationship that is healthy and fruitful, if you're going to have a long, devastating relationship that's going to feel like you are walking on pins and needles for the rest of your life, or if you are going to naturally just end that relationship. I can tell a lot about a couple by the way that they fight. So I want to provide you guys with some tips and things to consider. So a lot of times there are these predictors that tell you that a conversation will end in a fight. And today I want to talk about some of those things. So have you ever wondered why some topics that you have with your mate are just tough? They're like a hot spot. You and your partner just cannot discuss these things. Triggers come up. Sometimes you guys may find yourselves yelling and fussing and slamming doors. That happens for a lot of couples. You might even blame your partner for a lot of the miscommunication. But what I do find is when I sit in front of a couple, it's often a two-way street. And so sitting with you both helps me to find the source of the dysfunction and helps to create a more realistic picture of what's happening. A lot of times when people come into counseling, they feel like, oh, if my mate would just change this thing, we wouldn't be fighting as much. But that's not the true essence of the story. And that can make counseling so valuable because ultimately you are hiring someone to kind of dissect and analyze what's happening and provide you guys with specific solutions that are only going to work for you and your mate. All right. So one thing that I would say, so watch out for this if you were tired of fighting with your mate. Number 1 is if you start off rocky, you can basically predict how it will end rocky, right? So the most obvious predictor of how a conflict is going to go is how well or how not well it begins. So if you find that you are starting with criticism or sarcasm, you're asking for trouble, right? And so a lot of times I help couples identify what's the best way for them to approach their mate with a problem or with something that could lead with an argument. According to research, you can predict the outcome of a conversation based on the very first 3 minutes of that interaction. So this is body language. This is the way in which things are said. This is the words that are chosen when you are talking with your mate. So 3 minutes into a conflict or a conversation, you can kind of predict that, oh, okay, this is going to end with us fighting, with us being in an argument, with us not listening to each other, or someone walking away and slamming a door. 3 minutes. The next thing that I want you to really, really think about is watching how your body responds when you are in front of your mate. So we've all experienced this before, and it is a great indicator to let you know that it's time to slow down and take a deep breath. So I'm going to ask you just a series of questions, and you let me know whether or not this has happened to you before. So you're having a conversation with your mate. Your heart rate speeds up, so you feel that pounding on the inside. Your adrenaline starts to pump, and you feel like you are literally about to run from a truck or a dog or someone attacking you. It feels that way, even though you are sitting down having a conversation. Your head goes into this ultimate like fight or freeze or fight stage where you literally feel like there is danger upon you. Your thoughts may be racing, your voice is elevating, tears start to appear in your eyes out of nowhere. We've all been there before on the other end of a conflict where we just feel like this is the worst possible place that I want to be. I want to be anywhere but here. Now, some of you lean into conflict and it's a comfort place for you of we need to talk about this right now. And then some of you are the people who would like to avoid conflict like the plague, because it doesn't feel good to you. It doesn't feel good for the responses in your body. It makes you feel like you may be in danger or may end with the relationship ultimately ending. And so therefore it's like, I'd rather not even talk about this thing, right? A lot of times I'm dealing with people that are on two different ends of the spectrum. And so as their therapist, I help them to understand what dealing with conflict is going to look like where it serves them both. So I want you guys to keep in mind how your body responds and if it gets to a place of overwhelm. So if your heart rate continues to climb, you will likely end that argument or that communication with erratic communication. And that will lead to you criticizing more, making mean jokes, or even walking away. And that's happened to all of us before, where we're in the midst of a conversation with someone and the next thing you know, we are throwing the kitchen sink at them. We are saying everything in order for us to feel like we have won this thing. And I will say that that's another part of things I want you to keep in mind in conflict is if we're both, if you lose or I lose in our relationship, or win or lose in that argument, the whole relationship has lost at that point. And so sometimes we come to conflict wanting to win that fight and wanting to be right and wanting to prove something. And that's a mindset shift that I teach a lot of couples and walk them through. So I would suggest for this one, when it comes to your body and your body language, practice soothing yourself even when you are upset in the midst of a conflict. It takes a level of self-control and it takes a level of emotional awareness, and that is for mature people. So sometimes it helps to stop the combo and come back when you've calmed down and when you've done what you need to do in order to take care of yourself. And a lot of times we just kind of miss that part. We go straight in for the kill and we don't care what is going to happen on the other end of it. And so my suggestion would be to take those deep breaths and make sure that you are very, very aware of what's happening in your body. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you find that you need some support with your relationship, please reach out to us. A good number to reach us is 404-496-8070. And our website is atlantacoupletherapy.com. But two things to keep in mind moving forward if you find yourself in conflict is asking yourself, how are we starting? Are we starting rocky? Oh, we're probably going to end rocky. And then asking yourself, what's happening in my body and also what's happening in the body of my partner. How are they responding? How do they look? Do they look flustered? Do they look like they want to run away? That gives me an indication that this won't necessarily end in the way that I want it to. So if anything's come to mind for you guys as you're watching this, or you have any suggestions or things that you want to ask, please leave your details in the comments about whatever comes to mind. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will be back next week with part 2. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.